Okay, my name is Mike Hennessy. I'm running for Oneida County Executive, and we're going to talk about the 2024 county budget. The county executive called it a historic budget. I don't know what an historic budget is to you, but when the budget's raised by $40 million, I don't call that historic. Once again, he's not been able to cut taxes. We have the highest budget we've ever had at $540 million. And we need to start to cut that budget down so people can stay here, so our children can stay here. It's so important that we get control of the spending in Oneida County. We have over 200 vacant positions in this budget where the money is there, but no one's working the jobs. We need to fill the key positions and then eliminate over 100 vacant jobs and save this county roughly $40,000 per job, about $4 million. That would get you a 8% tax cut in your property taxes. In other areas, by curbing the growth of spending on various departments in this county, county executive's office is over $1 million for 6 people. We're going to cut that down to $800,000. I'm going to reduce my salary from $160,000 down to $120,000. We're going to hire an auditor whose job is to look at the budget, make sure the various departments are living within their budget and are able to cut back, because we're going to do it on a monthly basis and be able to compare it to the prior year. So if there's excess at that point in time, that department head's going to have to make changes in how he's spending money. Furthermore, on this current budget for 2024, the rate of inflation's come down in the last 5-6 months. On an annualized basis, it's less than 5%. But we're spending not 5% more, we're spending 8%, well above a historic inflation rates. We've got to cut this. People can't continue to live in this county and survive in this county if we don't cut it. People can't pay these taxes. In town of Western, we had people see their assessments double, almost triple. And these people were in tears practically when I went up to visit, over 60 of them. We have to control taxes. We have to look at how we spend our money, how the money for the $25 million we're getting annually from the Oneida Indian Nation is being spent. Some of that has to go to these towns that historically have had low sales tax revenues. And we have to make sure that they're able to stay here in Oneida County, because as more and more people leave this area, the burden of taxes lays on the remaining people of Oneida County. I asked the Oneida County taxpayers, are your taxes coming down? Take a look at your county budget or county property taxes over the last 5 to 10 years. See if you're seeing a cut or a stability in your tax rate. Most people have told us that they only pay more and more county taxes. They don't understand how they can say that we've not raised taxes. Certainly, and we're going to talk about it, James is going to talk about, the sales tax number is out of control. The revenues coming there are much higher. When I was on the board of legislators 10 years ago, we equivalently had 60 million roughly coming in from property taxes, 60 million from sales taxes. Now we're at about $140 million in sales tax revenues. That means you're paying more, getting nickels and dimes at the restaurants who require to pay sales tax, buying furniture, buying clothes, buying gifts here in Oneida County. It's a nickel and dime that you don't see, but it's much more than you're probably paying in property taxes. So we've got to get in control of spending in Oneida County, and we've got to get in control of the taxes, sales, and property taxes in this county. So my goal is to cut 15 to 18% in property taxes in Oneida County in the first couple of years. That's only about $11 million in cuts of a $540 million budget. It can be done. He won't do it. He hasn't done it. I will do it. Or you can throw me out in 4 years. Give me a 4-year chance to cut those taxes. Now I'm going to introduce James, and he's going to talk a little bit about sales taxes and other things that we pay in Oneida County.
Thank you, Mike. I'm James Herchek, running for District 12, Rome County Board of Legislatures. I'm going to start by asking if anybody remembers the old Mac Davis song that, "Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way." I've been rereading many of the county executives' past budget messages, which have brought back memories of that song to me. Every message goes on and on about how hard it is for him to hold the line on taxes, but somehow he manages to do it anyways. I think we all remember the old iconic "I Love New York" logo and slogan, which used to be seen all over the country. It seems like much of the love has gone astray. Unfortunately, today's prevailing theme is more like I'm leaving on a jet plane, train, U-Haul loaded automobile, and I'm going to leave soon. And it's not because of the weather. It's all about the taxes. New York has the highest state tax burden in the country. 15.9% of every earned dollar, and that's in 2022, as reported by the Tax Foundation organization. That's twice as high as most destination states. A Siena College poll released last spring found 27% of New Yorkers want to leave in the next 5 years, with 31% responding that they will most likely retire elsewhere. The issues of affordability, dissatisfaction with the state's political system, and rising crime are causing an unprecedented exodus of New Yorkers. So people are voting with their feet, moving to states where they pay 25 to 50% less. Overtaxation is killing us, with fleeing residents leaving a dwindling number of taxpayers behind who must bear all the still ever-growing costs of tax gobbling government. And please note, the people who are leaving are those who can afford to leave. And it's about 4,000 people have left Oneida County since 2020. It makes me cringe every time I hear politicians trying to tell us we are still growing economically, which is just classic, stupid, political denial as we watch the population continue to drop. They point to shiny new taxpayer-subsidized buildings, but forget about all the vacant and decaying structures left abandoned all around us. I cringe every time I hear the county executive brag, in his hard-to-be-humble way, that he has never raised taxes in his 17 years of being the top dog here in the county. You tell me, folks, like Mike asked, how many times in the last 17 years have your taxes gone up? Like a sleight-of-hand card trickster, Anthony Pacenti thinks he's fooling us, but we who pay know it's not true. We know that what we pay in both state taxes and property taxes keep going up automatically due to inflation and property tax reassessment. A nice autopilot system that he can use to say, see, it's not me. I say it's the taxes killing our economy thanks to all of our incumbent leadership. Believe what you see with your own eyes, folks. We must cut taxes at all government levels to change direction. Continuing drunken sailor taxation policies will keep sending more people and businesses away. That's the plain, common sense truth. Here's a fact you should keep in mind. The county executive can't raise the county sales tax rate any more than it already is. Does he ever tell you that Oneida County and Erie County, which is the city of Buffalo area, along with the counties that make up the New York City area, are now at the maximum sales tax rate allowed by state law. 8.75% is the highest allowed by state law. New York City is allowed to add an additional 1/8 of a cent for subway funding for a total of 8.875%. That's one fact the county executive isn't bragging about. He wants to collect every single bit allowed on sales taxes. Most of our neighboring counties are at 8%. The three lowest counties in the state are at 7%. Studies show sales tax revenues go up when sales tax rates go down because people have more money to spend, and small businesses are attracted to lower tax areas because they know that's where growth and more dollars go. Oneida County now has a budget over $500 million with a population in decline. The math of continuing to spend more money while placing the cost burden on less and less taxpayers can only lead to more decline and eventually bankruptcy. Levying taxes and setting a county budget is much more than just number crunching. The budget should reflect a strategic plan based upon economic realities. Incumbent county leaders will not address our economic realities. Now, not meaning to sound sacrilegious in any way, I say now we have reached a political come to Jesus moment where we must admit the state of our economy is in decline due to irresponsible overtaxation by our current political leadership. And the only solution is to vote them all out of office. This crowd will never lower taxes. They keep creating bigger tax pies for themselves to feed on, while the number of people providing all the necessary ingredients for their baking keep dwindling away. Taxes can be cut, but it's going to take some disciplined financial management by all elected leaders and administrators, and it's not a matter of can it be done, it must be done. This is why I'm running to unseat one of the incumbents. It's the common ground I share with Mike Hennessy and Jim Zecca. We need to boot all of them out. Folks, it's the taxes, it's the taxes, it's the taxes. And if you decide it's time to change for electing people like us, it'll make all the difference in the world in starting a much needed turnaround in Oneida County. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to my colleague Jim Zecca.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Mike. Echoing what both these gentlemen have said, the taxes are killing us. What I want to talk about is some specific programs that we have been talking about, and I say this through many years of experience. I'm running right now for the 19th Legislative District in Oneida County, in the city of Utica District, which encompasses South Utica, most of South Utica, and a small portion of Cornhill, which is one of the areas that are affected by the poverty rate. In the budget, there's a section where the money goes, and a majority of our budget falls in the category of human services. Now, there are some human services that are very important, such as veteran services, some public health, mental health, and aging. But we also have social services. Some people know it as welfare. It's a social service program. There's also Medicaid, which I know the county executive always complains that the state government is not giving us enough money. But we have to start thinking about ways of reducing these costs in our own county and not worrying about the state. The state's not going to change. The state's going to continue to do what they're doing. We have to worry about Oneida County. And there's ways that we can worry about Oneida County and programs that we can push forward. I have many years of experience with budgets. I was on the council for 10 years. I had many arguments and battles with the city of Utica. We were in the verge of bankruptcy, and we turned things around. And as we know, things have somewhat changed in Utica, but there's still a lot of concern. There's been a lot of money, federal money thrown around. That money's gonna go away. We have to depend on ourselves, and we have to do everything we can to cut the budget and cut the taxes to the taxpayers of this county. I also have almost 30 years of experience managing a budget in a department. I was the department head for Madison County for the Department of Solid Waste and Sanitation. Basically started from scratch with the program and turned things around for Madison County. So I have the experience, I have the knowledge. There's no batteries necessary for me taking this position on and working with folks like Mike and Jim to work on these budget issues. One of the specific programs I'd like to talk about would be, we would like to propose to Oneida County government and the city of Utica and the Rome administrations is a program that would require all able-bodied individuals receiving social service benefits to perform public service work such as cleaning and maintaining public roads, which is much needed. If you walk around the city of Utica and even the city of Rome, you could see that many of the roads and buildings and parks need attention. This would be an excellent program for such a thing. They would also be required to attend job readiness workshops, which the county does a little bit of, but not enough, to be employment ready to fill much needed positions in public works, parks, and other government agencies, as Mike had mentioned earlier. There's a lot of vacancies. And it's a period of time where I'm hearing from department heads. I've talked to the Parks Commissioner and Public Works Commissioner in the city of Utica. They're having a hard time filling basic positions, and I know the media's heard this as well. Truck drivers, general laborers. The plan is, the idea is in the idea stage of development and has the potential of reducing the overall tax burden for human services, which is the largest appropriation of county funds annually. The work program would prepare and train able-bodied social service recipients and can also include, which I've been involved in these programs before, and they do work, probation department and probationers and county inmate work programs to become employable again, and at the same time have dignity in working to help their community. That's the important thing. Under the proposal being considered, some people receiving social service benefits would be required to work and train with places like the County Highway Department, the City of Utica or Rome Public Works, or Parks Department. And in light of the dire, which I just talked about, the dire employment problem the cities, towns, villages, and Oneida County faces in the upcoming years, this initiative can assist local governments in filling much needed vacant positions such as, like I said earlier, truck drivers and general laborers. We feel this program is a good fit for Oneida County Department of Social Services, as the mission of the Department of Social Services has been to render services devoted to instilling principles of economic and social self-sufficiency to their constituents and acknowledging responsibilities and reducing dependency. All who are capable of working will be assisted in securing employment. The last thing I want to do is just talk about some programs that were out there in the past that have worked and can work in Oneida County. It takes a lot of time and effort, and you can't sit back and say, well, it can't work, it can't work. It can work. And the proof is, if they want to go to Madison County and talk to the folks at the ARC, I was very proud to be involved in that program over 35 years ago. In 1988, we opened up, and I was, as a director, worked with the county and the Madison County, at the time Madison County ARC, it's now Madison Cortland ARC. We opened up a facility called the MRF, a materials recycling facility. It gave gainful employment to folks that were low to moderate income and handicapped individuals. They had dignity, they had a job, and they worked. Some of those folks retired and got health benefits, got retirement benefits, and were off of the county social service programs. That's what we want, and that's what people want. We don't want 14.2% poverty rate in Oneida County anymore, and the city of Utica is even higher than that. It's about 25% in my city. That's unacceptable. Again, programs similar to this have been done in previous history. In the 1930s, most young people would not know anything about it, but if you understand history and you talked about it in your class, the WPA program and the CCC camps. The WPA program was a work program to put people to work, just as we're talking about here. And many of the park systems were actually built in New York State, and in the city of Utica, most of the older pools, like the one in West Utica, was built through the WPA program. Many young people had jobs at the CCC camps throughout the country, and in particular in New York State, and built many of the state parks through those programs. And it gave dignity to people, and they felt like they were part of their community by getting these programs. I personally go back to the 1970s when I was a young man, which was quite a while ago. There was a program called the CEDAR program. It was a Comprehensive Employment and Training Act, where the federal government funded local municipalities to hire young people and people that were chronically unemployable, and got them jobs with municipalities, just like we're talking about here. I wound up getting a position with the Prospect Park Zoo as a zookeeper, and then eventually came up to Utica through that CEDAR program. And many people that started that program were put on as permanent employees and got jobs that they have benefits, retirement, and are off of the social services roles, which is great. So a combination of these programs, and I think the federal government is looking that way as well. And it's not giving a handout. It's the people are working for their benefits and participating in their community. Overall, it hopefully will bring down the burden that we have on our budget in the appropriations for human services, and that's significant. Even though we do get a large chunk of funding for those programs through the federal government and the state. But I know Mr. Pacendi has always complained it's not enough. Well, we don't want it to be enough. We don't want any more. We want to reduce that burden overall and put these people to work. We have the positions, we need them filled. Let's train these people and get them to work in our government. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to wrap up and then take questions. Jim makes a great point, because just a year ago, where human services was a $187 million budget. Today, in his proposed budget, it's $224 million. An expense that just keeps going up because we're not doing these kinds of programs that Jim's talked about. We need to get people off the county budget and into working for themselves in the private sector, making better money. It'll relieve our tax burden significantly. And Jim's made a good point here that we have to look at that side of the budget too. I'd like to close by just saying there was no great budget here, or historic budget as he called it. This county is in trouble. Businesses are leaving. Our shopping malls were down to not a full shopping mall in Oneida County. Retail's leaving. Farmers are tragically at $13 per hundred right now, their milk rate. It was $18 a year ago. They can't live on $13. We have to get new products in for farmers from hemp, which is a product that they can grow and then can be made into clothing, into jackets, into purses. Things like that. The farming community needs to be able to expand their product line. solar energy, wind energy, whatever way that they can broaden and take advantage of their acreage that they own to make a better living. And we have to work for that in our rural areas. Again, manufacturing's left this area. We've, in the nation, seen 14 million new jobs in the last year and a half. 14 million new jobs. We're flat at best. Yes, we got 200 to 300 jobs over at the Wolfspeed, but Wolfspeed didn't come up into the 800s like it should have been. We lost a deal that's now in North Carolina. North Carolina got those 800 jobs that we thought we were going to get. Yes, New York State in this county bid for those 800 jobs, and we lost them. And we gave Wolfspeed $500 million to build that plant. We paid for it here in Oneida County. Why wasn't there some kind of overseeing in the contract that if they got that kind of money, they would bring those jobs here? Or if they didn't bring the jobs here, we could get back a portion of the money we put into Wolfspeed. It's a bad deal. It's a bad way to run government, and we have to do things smarter. That's why I'm working with these two gentlemen to show that, one was a independent at one time and now a Republican. Jim was a Democrat at one time.
At one time.
Yep, and I was too, as most of you know. But we're working together to move this county forward, and that's what this is all about. You don't want to continue down the same path, more tax and spend policies. It's just going to force more people out of this community, and those that remain pick up a larger tax burden in their property taxes too. So again, we're giving you an option. We hope you take advantage of it. Give us 4 years, and if it doesn't work out, get rid of us. Thank you.
Now questions?
We came out earlier for term limits. Both these guys are running against incumbents. I am too, of 20-some years around, and getting public state accolades. We need somebody who's running the office. How can Oneida County run with 2 police cars in the entire county at night? That's all they have. And many of them are working off a 10, 12-hour schedule in Oneida County. And by cutting taxes and spending, that'll also entice people to want to come here. And finally, we do need to, in certain areas, take some of that vacant money that's been set aside in the budget towards improving the county. Susan? Any questions? No, you're good? All right.
Any other questions?
I think it's interesting you mentioned the term limits thing, because I believe the last
Single township in Oneida County and get people to sign that petition. So we can now go to each and every individual county legislator and say, your people want term limits. Put it on the ballot. And we're not even asking them to make the decision. All we're asking for is to put it on the ballot, let the public make that decision, just like they did a number of years ago when you reduced the number of, and that was your initiative, Mike, when you reduced the number of county legislators. It was on the ballot and it passed with a very large number.
That point I should explain a little bit.